But you know, this franchise has been around for like 10 years.
Has
Did you know
really?
Cloverfield was 2008?
No.
Isn't that crazy?
Welcome to the Crooked Table Podcast, where we discuss the world of film from a fresh angle. And now your host, Robert Yannis Jr.
Welcome to the Crooked Table Podcast. This is Rob.
It's Freddie.
On this episode, we're going to talk about pretty much just the Cloverfield franchise. And we're going to do a little bit of backstory on the original Cloverfield film from 2008, as well as 10 Cloverfield Lane, just kind of as a backstory, and then get it right into the Cloverfield Paradox, the surprise movie that everyone sort of knew was coming, but didn't know they were getting quite as soon as they got. So, anyway, let's just get into it.
Now, you know what? I was watching this movie on Netflix called...
I probably have heard of it. I don't know which one it is.
The new one
there's
with
a lot
Adam
of
Devine.
There's a new one like
Adam
every 10
Devine's
minutes.
in it, though.
I saw that actually. I logged in earlier today and I saw that. I like him. I think he's funny.
First Day We Met.
Yeah, how was that?
It was great. Yeah, I liked it a lot. Here's the thing. I feel like a lot of movies now they're doing like a Groundhog Day type of.
Oh
feel.
God, is it that?
Yeah, it's kind of like that.
It's like Happy Death Day source code.
He goes to this picture booth. And he puts the coin, and it goes back to the day where he first met this girl that he wants to hook up with, but
start dating, whatever,
to start a relationship with and marry, but it didn't turn out that way the first time they met. So he goes and he keeps trying to change events that make them together. So it's the
very
Groundhog Day.
Yeah.
Complex.
It's that montage in Groundhog Day where he's like, "Oh, what are you drinking? Oh, I always drink to world peace and all that crap."
Also,
that one montage in feature length, basically.
There's another movie on Netflix called Naked with Marlon Wayans.
I don't know. I'm not sure.
And it's the same exact concept.
Every time I log into Netflix, there's new movies, and I there's too much for me to consume. And plus, there's other movies I want to see that aren't on Netflix.
Yeah. See, I've seen a lot of the things on Netflix.
Yeah.
Because I don't have. And like I was telling you earlier, off mic, that I'm working constantly. Have time to sometimes go out to the movie theaters.
Adulting is hard, everybody.
Or you're just too exhausted to go out and spend the money or whatever. Even though I just got a movie pass.
But now the theater that you like to go, the movie pass, it doesn't take a movie pass anymore.
Exactly. Yeah, that's funny how that works. The week or two after I
sort
get
of.
it. They don't offer it anymore, but sometimes you just don't want to go out. It's just easier to just
especially when you're working, like we were saying, working full time. You come home, you're like, click. Oh, look what's on Netflix.
You don't want to deal with the crazy
click,
Florida drivers.
Click on your phone or whatever in your computer.
Yeah, we're in Florida and the drivers here are crazy.
Right.
And you don't want to have to deal with those crazy Florida drivers.
Exactly.
So you just go home and you watch Netflix. That's where I've been. That's
pretty much.
I'm nestled in my Netflix comfort zone.
See, or you do what I do, and you're like the last person on the planet Earth that still gets Netflix discs in the mail, which I do that because there's a lot of movies that aren't even on there still that I want to see.
That's true.
And I have a list of films from last year that I'm still catching up with.
Yeah.
Plus, I just get movies out of the library or whatever. I have way more movies to watch than I have time
DVDs
to watch
are
them.
going to get obsolete.
Well, they're already. Did you hear about that recently? The Best Buy starting this year is no longer carrying CDs.
Yeah, and Target's going to be.
Target's next, yeah.
Yeah. So and
I'm still buying CDs too. I'm a physical media guy.
That's the future of DVDs. But the funny thing about that is CDs are going away. But records have been coming back in a fashion.
That's a hipster thing.
Not just a hipster thing. Now it's just people just realize that records sound better than CDs, so records are coming back, and I feel like records sometimes are even more popular than CDs.
It's a collector's item thing. That's why it's like, oh, this is original pressing of whatever.
But it's also the experience of playing the music too, because there's a whole science behind it. There's a whole you get a lot better quality of sound. There's a lingo to it. There's no lingo to CDs. You just pop it in and
skip to the track you know.
And then
eject and throw it away.
Struggle with opening it.
Yeah. Oh God. No. That's
There's no struggling with records. You just slide it out.
That's true. It's just a thin plastic layer you break and that's it. And there's no little labels on top. And then it leaves the the fucked up sticky residue on your CD case, and you have to buy extra ones to replace it like I do. And oh god, it's annoying.
So I feel like that's gonna happen with DVDs
Probably at some
too.
point.
It's all gonna be digital.
Well, that's why it's
all
good.
gonna be in a cloud.
That's why it's
some
good
sort.
that I'm going through my collection, because now a bunch of the studios got together and they have this app called Movies Anywhere. That used to be Disney Movies Anywhere, because Disney is like one of the main studios involved in it. And it compiles like your iTunes, your Vudu, your Google Play, whatever digital copies of movies you have. I feel like this is an advertisement for it. They're not sponsoring this episode, but it sounds like they should be.
But if you want to.
Yeah, seriously, Movies Anywhere, I'd love to. And I have accounts with most of those. So I'm going to go through my DVD Blu-ray collection and be like, ooh, a code. Let me type that in, see if I can get that.
Yeah.
So I have like now 100 movies in my digital copies already. So I'm building my digital library already. A little by little.
That's the future right there.
Right.
It's just anything that is minimalist and doesn't take up space is becoming more popular because in a world where you have everything at your fingertips.
In a world where you have everything at your fingertips.
In a world where you have everything at your fingertips,
right.
It's easy to have things like media-wise that you could just access.
Yeah.
Without having so much clutter. Because, CDs and DVDs. I mean, if you go in the next room, you have like 3 bookcases of DVDs and stuff like that.
Yeah. two bookcases, a bunch in the closet, a bunch like on the floor, a bunch like on the desk. So, yeah.
He has a library.
Because I have the other bookcase in the other room.
DVDs.
I don't have the other bookcase I have in the other room that I have never set up because I don't have room in that room for
exactly.
it.
So that could all be digital.
I know, but I like the physical. I don't know. I like having whatever my entertainment is in my hands.
Yeah.
I still like holding a book and flipping through pages when I'm reading something, not on a digital screen like Kindle or a tablet or whatever.
Yeah.
But I'm a dying breed when it comes to that, I guess. So
they'll have
and I've accepted
a DVD
more.
library just like they have a book library, so people can do that again.
Well, I mean, like actual public libraries are becoming more media centers than anything else. They have fewer books and more DVDs at this point.
When I went to vote, I looked around because that was the first time I went there in a while, and I was like, where the fuck are all the books?
Where's the books? They're in the back.
There were the children's books.
Right.
And then there's just computers. And then there's just rows of electronic things.
CD, DVD, CDs, and then DVDs. Some books in the back.
And most of them, they're all...
It's a bummer.
It's all digital.
Do you remember that library that used to be near our house when we were kids? The 2-story one was like big staircase going up and everything. You were little at that point, so I don't know if you remember.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think I remember this.
Yeah, that was a nice building, and now it's now they relocated to a much smaller building where it's basically like we said, it's basically a media center.
Yeah.
So disappointing. Anyway, that's like 7 minutes worth of stuff.
I mean, we could just start the podcast here
officially.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing though. Like, libraries maybe should be digital, but there should always be bookstores.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, there should be like at least one bookstore where you can go and buy a physical book. But libraries,
not just Target,
and not exactly, like a Barnes & Noble. That's why...
Which is the only one left, really.
Which is the only one over here.
There used to be Borders, there used to be B. Dalton, and Walden Books. All gone. Now it's just Barnes & Noble, and that is it.
Yeah, and I get a lot of...
or you buy your books at Walmart. Right next to 50 Shades of Grey, you got like 3 other books, and that's your options.
Yeah, exactly. And a lot of... I'm on their email list... And they send me coupons
for Barnes & Noble?
For Barnes & Noble.
Yeah.
And they'll send me coupons all the time. 15% off, 25% off your order or whatever. And I'm thinking like during the holiday, they were sending it a lot. And I was thinking this looks bad. You know what I mean?
Please give us money.
Yeah, that's
85% off.
Yeah, I feel like no, there wasn't that much.
I know. Oh, that's good. That's escalation.
Then I'd really be concerned.
They're getting to a desperate point.
No, but I was like, oh man, like it seemed like they were on their way out. Right. I don't know for sure, but whenever I saw those coupons, I went and I bought something just so I could support them.
Keep them around.
Yeah,
the last bookstore
I want
standing.
them to be around. Yeah.
In a world where there's only one bookstore.
I like going there and you can get like in just random books.
Right.
I want to juggle.
Well, yeah, my friend and I used to walk, meet up at like a Barnes & Noble or Borders and like walk around and just like, look at this cool movie, blah, blah, blah. Oh, look at this cool book. Like you discover shit that you're like, what? I didn't even know that existed. I'll buy that.
Yeah, exactly.
Or like, when we were kids, I would go to the video store and walk around and it's like, you're a little kid, and so you're looking for like the most fucked up images you can. So you go to the horror section, you look at the back, you're like, oh my god, that is weird. And now as a grown up, I'm like, I need to seek out all these movies that I never saw as a kid.
Yeah.
Like you can discover new things that you never would have found before, and you still have that. I mean, on like
I used to do that Blockbuster.
Right, exactly. Blockbuster or any of them
with the horror.
They're all gone now. Yeah, exactly. You can still do that sort of on Netflix, but. Pretty much, I don't know how deep people go in the archive of Netflix. I think just like, what's trending? Oh, okay, click. I'll watch that. Whatever I've heard my friend at work is watching, that's what I'm going to watch.
There's so many things on there, it's hard to look through.
And a lot of their original content, and now this is actually pertinent to the main conversation point of today, but there's so much original content on there that some of it gets lost in the shuffle.
Mm-hmm.
For every Cloverfield Paradox that is promoted during the Super Bowl, and we'll get to that in a second.
Yeah.
There's 10 other movies that are being talked about by certain critics and certain podcasts or certain whatevers, but nobody knows exists because they're not promoting it at all. It gets it's swept away because guess what?
Under the rug, yeah.
We have The Boss Baby streaming on Netflix or whatever, But there's all this original content that they're picking up that nobody's watching.
Or Captain Underpants.
Well, because Captain Underpants is actually pretty good.
I haven't seen that. It's on my queue.
Yeah, I saw it in theaters. I did a review for WeGotThisCovered.com back last year, and then I took my daughter to see it too, and she was like halfway through, like, I'm like, okay, well, I'm gonna watch this, so we'll stand over here. So talking about Netflix and everything is actually the perfect segue to get into today's topic. So Cloverfield. It's been a full decade since we saw Cloverfield together, didn't we? And you were like, I gotta leave the theater.
Yeah,
because you were dizzy. Do you remember this?
I have a motion. I don't as much as I used to, but I have a motion sickness issue.
Right.
And all that moving of the camera, it messed me up, and I had to leave the theater in the. I think it was like 20 minutes into the film.
Something
actually.
Like that. Did you miss the whole movie, or did you came back and forth?
No, I left. I went back, and then I was able to somehow stomach the rest of the movie.
Right.
But
I think you were like looking down a lot, and then like looking back out, like looking away or something.
No, I just had to get myself together.
Yeah.
And because I'm not used to the shakiness,
sound
like
footage and stuff.
Yeah, and actually, when I went to if you go on the Empire State Building, they have like a little ride or something as like an extra attraction, extra way for them to get money out of you. When you go to the Empire State Building.
I don't know if Kai and I saw that when we went there.
And, you shouldn't have, because it messed up me and my girlfriend. And we were both like really, really nauseous after that thing. It moves the seats and everything, and it tries to act like a ride.
But
the camera moves around so much. It's just to show New York and the sights and stuff.
Oh, okay.
But it was so bad that one I did have to close my eyes and look down, so I didn't
That sounds almost like the Jimmy Fallon one at Universal Studios. They had like the Race to New York or Race Through New York or whatever thing.
Did it make you feel?
No, but it was like going, racing all over New York City, like showing you the city and that kind of thing.
So it's probably a better version of the Empire State Building.
Yeah. And they charged. How much money did they charge for that?
I mean, it's probably
it's a lot of money. Like, what, you want to go on an elevator up to the top? That's what, $40 or something crazy like that.
I think it was like $40.
Yeah,
it's ridiculous. Anyways, it was like a 10-15 minute thing, and me and my girlfriend were both nauseous, like wanting to throw up. So yeah, that happened to me. Not as bad, but it happened to me in Cloverfield.
Right. And the weird thing is that I didn't have any problems when we saw Cloverfield, and then I guess
you don't have an issue like that.
No, but I was what I was about to say. And then I guess in the year since then, I've developed a sensitive stomach more now, because I saw Hardcore Henry like 2015, a couple years ago, or 2016, I think. Like, and that's again another like POV movie. Yeah. And I was like, felt like sick through most of the movie, but which was weird because I hadn't had that problem ever before. Even when and granted, I'm not a huge found footage person. I've only seen a few of them in theaters like that, but I never had an experience like that in watching a movie ever. Where I was like felt like nauseous, like I felt like I was gonna throw up at some point after the movie.
I've gotten a little bit better with the motion. I think that was the first movie that I saw with that type of thing too. Right. So
that was early on in the whole found footage thing. I mean, I think before that the biggest mainstream was Blair Witch, and there was maybe a couple here and there, but none of them were like huge like this one. I think around the same time, maybe a year or so later, was the whole Paranormal Activity thing started. Mm-hmm. But
that one wasn't as shaky as...
No, it's more like found footage, security camera, it's on a wall. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Not, oh my god, there's a monster, and a person running around with a camcorder. Yeah. So, but I still really like that movie. I mean, I have it in my giant wall of DVDs in there. And that director went on to do all kinds of great stuff. I think that's the guy that actually did. That's the guy that did Dawn of the Planet of the Apes and War for the Planet of the Apes, which we talked about last time you were on the show, 9 months ago or whatever.
What happened with that avalanche, man?
I know. Seriously, spoilers.
What's his name?
Which guy?
The director.
Oh, Matt Reeves.
Yeah, what happened with that avalanche, Matt?
Yeah, seriously.
That was a cop out. Should have had actual war.
But not an avalanche. What's interesting about this Cloverfield...
Should have been Avalanche of the Apes.
That should have been the title of the movie.
Yeah. Avalanche of the Apes.
That sounds like a sci-fi original movie or something.
Yeah.
Just right after Sharknado.
That just occurred to me. It's called War of the Planet of the Apes.
There's no warring happening.
But there is no war in that movie.
It's an internal war, Caesar. We're talking about a totally unrelated movie.
I know, but...
I mean, it's sort of related because the director, but...
I mean, I just realized this as I was making the joke, that there is no war.
Our tangents have tangents, I think, is what's going on right now. That's how conversation works.
Yeah.
That's how fun conversation works. But what's interesting about Cloverfield is, well, as a standalone, it was just a sort of an innovative take on the kaiju movie, basically.
Yeah.
Where, okay, well, what if we took like a Godzilla movie, but we did it from the perspective of the people on the ground and shit.
Kaiju, that's Pacific Rim?
Kaiju is Pacific Rim, but it's also like the term for those Japanese giant monster movies, yeah.
Okay.
So basically, so that was the concept with that. But what has happened is that Cloverfield spun out into something totally different now. Yeah. Where it started out like the original Cloverfield was released with very little very little explanation. It was just a viral marketing. It was like one of the first big viral marketing. It was like, this thing's coming, Cloverfield. It was supposed to be a working title initially. Mm-hmm. This poster didn't even like have any idea what the hell's going on. And that was really, I think...
That happened with all of them.
Right. Yeah. Well, yeah.
You're like, you don't know.
But it's the kind of the evolution of J.J. Abrams, what a lot of people in the industry call J.J. Abrams like mystery box. Because J.J. Abrams directed or produced Lost and produced the Cloverfield movies and had the whole Khan mystery over Into Darkness, even though everybody kind of knew he was Khan.
It's like a J.J. Abrams Loot Crate.
Sort of, yeah, basically.
You open it up,
he should totally... Oh my god, if his career goes into the toilet, which it won't because he's making Star Wars movies.
Yeah.
But if it went into the toilet, he could be like, hey, I'm J.J. Abrams. You remember me for such films as Star Trek Into Darkness, and Star Wars The Force Awakens, blah, 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 Super 8, whatever.
Yeah.
Well, now I'm going to send my mystery box to you! It's J.J. Abrams' mystery box. What's in it? That's not the point. It's the journey. And you're like, what?
What does that even mean?
Because that's a lot of people kind of criticize his movies because they set up mysteries, and then the payoffs are very like, Lost. What's the thing with the island? It doesn't really, and that never makes sense.
You make it sound like M. Night Shyamalan.
No, it's not like that. But it's also, because there's a lot of good stuff to this.
Yeah.
There's a lot of good stuff in his projects.
Yeah.
But that element of it, I think, has some validity to it. I mean, we watched Lost all 6 seasons. We got to the end, you're like, wait, what the... I don't understand. What is the point of the island? What's going on? It's very obvious that throughout the show...
That's the point. There is no point.
Exactly. It's very clear throughout the show that they have no idea what the hell they're doing. That they're just like, whatever. And then this crazy shit happens. And you could say a little bit of the Last Jedi backlash. And I don't even know if you've seen it.
No, I haven't seen that.
A lot of that was because Force Awakens set up certain mysteries, and then Last Jedi addressed them or didn't address them in ways that made people pissed off because they were set up to believe something was going to happen based on Force Awakens.
Yeah.
So I think that's interesting how Cloverfield was like kind of the monetization. The Cloverfield franchise is really the large scale embrace of J.J. Abrams' Mystery Box, the series, sort of.
Yeah, the mindfuck, which is James.
Sort
James
of.
Abrams.
And I like J.J. Abrams as a
J.J.
director.
Abrams.
I think he does good movies. I have most of them.
Yeah.
But Cloverfield has as this franchise really sort of embodies what that whole Mystery Box thing is about. The first one comes out, nobody really knows what it is, and it turns out to be this huge hit. And then the second one, they tell us about 2 months before it hits theaters. They're like, by the way, we made a Cloverfield movie. It's coming out in 2 months. You're like, wait, what? Mary Elizabeth Winstead and John Goodman? When did this happen?
Yeah, exactly.
And it costs, $5-10 million or whatever.
And their trailer told nothing about the movie.
Their trailer didn't say anything about how it was connected or any of that.
Yeah.
Did you ever see that?
Yeah, I did.
You did, okay.
I saw that with a friend, yeah.
Okay, did you like it?
Yeah, I did. It was really, really good.
I personally like the second one better.
Oh, you like?
Yeah, I like both of them, but I like the second one better.
Than all of them?
Well, yeah, but we'll get there. I think 10 Cloverfield Lane, I like that it's what Cloverfield, other than the mystery box thing and the surprise element of the marketing, which we'll get to that in a second with Cloverfield Paradox. It's basically them making, okay, there's this world, they're monsters. There's like every film is a different genre. So the first one is like a kaiju movie.
That's what I was gonna.
Yeah, and the second one is like a really self-contained, like almost psychological thriller in a way. And then the third one's like this like trippy sci-fi horror film, sort of in the vein of something like Alien.
Yeah.
And then they have other ones coming out. They're already working on 4 and 5.
Oh, really?
And stuff.
Are they gonna be like a romance?
I know, right? Seriously.
Comedy.
Who knows at this point? But there've been like sort of subgenres within like the thriller, sci-fi, whatever world.
So the first one was called 10 Cloverfield Lane.
No, the first one's Cloverfield. The second one is 10 Cloverfield Lane.
Okay. What does that mean, 10 Cloverfield Lane?
That was the address of the house.
Yeah, but
where she was being held.
Yeah, but what does that mean in the big picture?
What is any of it? That's kind of the problem with the mystery box.
Like,
is
there's
that
kind of like inconsistency.
It's all inconsistent. That's
like,
did
they name the street off of the event? Like, they don't that issue start around there, and they're like, well, just name this one Cloverfield Lane.
I know,
because this happened on, like, the Cloverfield Paradox happened.
You're getting ahead of me. We'll get to when we get to Cloverfield Paradox. We'll get into what does or does not, does not make sense about this world and how it all fits together. Right now, at this point, they all sort of vaguely fit together, but they don't really want to nail things down. And in a way, I'm fine with that. But it's this new film. It seems like its whole point of existence is to explain the connections to everything, but then it doesn't really explain the connections to anything very well, because you and I are like, what does that mean? I'm like, I fuck as I know. So anyway, the first one came out, found footage monster movie. Everybody liked it. Then the franchise, they were like, is a sequel going to happen? Maybe, maybe not. 8 years later, guess what? A sequel's going to happen. Psh. And, that also did really well. Cost very little to make and made, 4 times its budget, at least something like that. Yeah. I actually think there was actually some low-key awards buzz for John Goodman. I think that should have come to pass because he's a great actor and I think he's really strong. He's the best thing in that movie. And I actually think Mary Elizabeth Winstead is great in pretty much everything. I mean, I have a crush on her because of Scott Pilgrim, among other things. But I think she's proven herself that she's really good in these horror, sci-fi, like, terrified but like powerful, strong woman roles. Mm-hmm. And I think 10 Cloverfield Lane is a good example of that. So going into this, we knew been hearing for a while about this movie used to be called God Particle, that was being sort of retrofitted into the next Cloverfield film. Yeah. And it was supposed to come out, April or something. And then I think it already came out before the Super Bowl that it was going to be a Netflix exclusive deal. Uh-huh. But then they had a big ad on the Super Bowl. And this is the genius part of the marketing. They're like, the Cloverfield Paradox, blah, 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 available right after the game. And the world was like, wait, what? And Ava DuVernay, the director of A Wrinkle in Time, which is coming out and stuff, she apparently was was tipped off that was going to happen because she was tweeting out, oh, yeah, film Twitter's going to lose their minds later when this news comes out. So, and I think that was genius because their entire marketing budget was just like the whatever X number of millions that they put into like 30-second spot or whatever. And then everyone afterwards on my Twitter feed, at least because I follow a lot of film critics and people like that, everyone's like, all right, I guess I'm watching Cloverfield. Because everybody has to review it for their site or for their paper or whatever.
Yeah.
So the whole, like all of the film criticism community was all watching 10 Cloverfield Lane. That would be like, I gotta watch Cloverfield. They pop in the wrong thing. Damn it, wrong movie. So I'm sure the Netflix numbers were like through the roof on that film because everybody was watching the Super Bowl. And so, once the game was over, all Netflix had to do was hit like publish or whatever on the film, and then it was in their feed right in front and center. Guess what? Now available to stream.
Yeah.
So what did you think about? Did you even know there was a third Cloverfield coming out, or was this news to you, or like what do you think of that approach to marketing the film?
I knew when I went on Netflix and I saw it pop up. The trailer start playing as soon
so you
as
had
I
no
went
idea
on.
that there were any more Cloverfield movies coming.
I think because what I do is when it gets toward the end of the month, I'll see like, what's gonna be new on Netflix the next month.
Every website posts that list of like, here's what coming to Netflix,
like
here's what's leaving, or all of them. Yeah, they all do that.
So I go and I do that, and I saw Cloverfield on there, but I didn't really think anything of it. Like, I just didn't think.
You're like, it's probably one of the ones I've seen already.
Yeah, I think maybe I saw it, but I didn't really take note of it in my head. So when I saw it on Netflix, I was like, oh yeah.
Well, but nobody knew it was supposed to debut.
And it looked good
that day. Like everybody thought it was happening in like April or something. So they just all of a sudden jumped the gun and was like, guess what, y'all? Surprise. It's a new movie in your face, which I think is a really smart marketing move. Whether or not the movie deserves that, like lives up to that hype, that we'll get into in a second. But it's interesting too because basically what they did with 10 Cloverfield Lane and then this new one is that they took existing scripts and they were like, ooh, this has something to it. And then they customized them to the Cloverfield universe. Like this was, like I mentioned, this used to be a script called God Particle, and then 10 Cloverfield Lane was like one called The Cellar or something was what it was called. It was like, basically, probably what the film is minus the alien stuff.
Yeah.
Or the monsters or whatever.
So they added the last 15 minutes to The Cellar.
Probably, yeah. And they're like, guess what? Now it's a Cloverfield movie. And I'm like, all right, well, sure, whatever. It's, even if call it something else, call it The Cellar instead of 10 Cloverfield Lane. It's still a good movie.
It's still a good.
It stands alone.
It's like it's like an indie film
until the last 10 minutes where they're like, here's our budget, y'all.
Yeah,
pretty much
explode
with like CG mess all over
CGI load all over the place.
Sort of. So I guess getting to this film. Are we ready to get into this one?
Yeah.
The Cloverfield Paradox is directed by Julius Ona, who I'm not familiar with, and written by Oren Uziel. I don't know if I'm saying that right. Who I also am not familiar with. So what I like about the Cloverfield formula, if we can call it that, is that they're taking filmmakers who are like up and coming filmmakers or who may be doing good work but like on the indie circuit, and they're giving them a huge platform to be like, all right, now everybody's going to watch your next movie. Guess what? You know why? Cloverfield's in the title. Yeah. And then the whole internet and all geek culture explodes because they're like, Cloverfield, what? Pfft.
Yeah.
It's the mystery box stuff again, all over again. So like Julius Ona, who I've never heard of before, now I'm more likely to look into his films because I've seen this one, So, and he's let's see what his directing thing is. Yeah, he's directed a bunch of shorts and like looks like maybe one previous feature called The Girl Is in Trouble from 2015, which I've not heard of. So I think that's an interesting way to give kind of rising talent a platform to actually get one of their movies out there and have it be seen and increase their profile and all that.
Yeah.
So this film stars Gugu Mbatha-Raw, David Oyelowo, Daniel Bruhl, Elizabeth Debicki, John Ortiz, Chris O'Dowd, Z Zhang, which is crazy because I haven't seen her in anything since House of Flying Daggers, which was 2004 or something like that. So it was crazy. I kind of forgot she was in this movie. And those are really the main players. There's a little cameo by Donald Logue, who who I see every week on Gotham.
I didn't know anything about this movie.
Yeah, I didn't. I knew that.
Till I
I'd
saw
seen that
the
one.
Credits and I was
that one still of the crew standing there. I'd seen that, and I'd heard like who was in it and stuff, but I didn't know anything. I don't even think anybody knew the title until Netflix's thing. Like I think they knew, oh, God Particle, it's the next Cloverfield, but they haven't. Then I called it. I don't think, at least officially, the Cloverfield Paradox until that Super Bowl ad.
Okay.
But we knew that God Particle was going to be the next Cloverfield, and I kind of figured that wasn't going to be its title because it's now a Cloverfield movie.
Yeah, exactly.
And they want to market it as such. So this film follows. There's an energy crisis on Earth, and it follows a team of scientists taking a vessel, which is called it's called the Cloverfield, isn't it? The vessel that they're on.
No, it's called the Shepherd.
The Shepherd. What's the Cloverfield? Is the mission then or something? The
Cloverfield. That's the Cloverfield Paradox
now.
Is what they called what they thought was going to happen. So they thought that the Shepherd was going to create a break in space time, a crack in space time, or rip, I guess is what they normally say, and it would cause monsters to come out of this.
Oh no,
rip.
No, I think you have it backwards. Because I'm looking on Wikipedia. The Cloverfield Station is what their space station's called.
So what's the Shepherd?
The Shepherd was the particle accelerator.
Right,
that's what it is. Because I had to bring it up on Wikipedia. That's not a good sign that you and I are like, I don't know what the fuck was going on.
I don't know. They only referred to the Shepherd in the whole movie.
Yeah.
So you made
you
made it seem like the whole thing was the Shepherd. But the Shepherd it's like the Large Hadron Collider here. Well, in Sweden or Switzerland or something like that? One of
You'd
those
know more
two.
than I would.
Yeah.
I can tell you about this movie. You can tell me about real life science stuff.
So they call that the Shepherd, I guess.
Right. Which with the particle accelerator.
I wonder if that's a religious thing.
I think that's supposed to be vaguely
like
religious.
The shepherd is like the one that guides, right?
The Lord is my shepherd; I shall not want. The shepherd is the one that watches the sheep. And
how do you know that?
All metaphorical. Hey, I was raised Catholic, dude.
Yeah, no. But did you learn that from Samuel L. Jackson or something?
No, I wish. That'd be awesome. So basically, it follows.
Watch too much Pulp Fiction.
Oh, no such thing. So it follows the crew aboard the Cloverfield station, and they're experimenting with the Shepherd particle accelerator to basically find a like every single movie from this one to Spider-Man 2, a renewable source of energy for the whole world. It makes me feel like Doc Ock now. And there's this kind of conspiracy theory that we were very ham-fistedly introduced to on a video screen, like a newscast interview type deal, about this. I think they called that the Cloverfield Paradox in the theory or whatever that the guy is talking about.
That it's going to create a
rip in space-time, demons and monsters and alien and all kinds of crazy shit. It's gonna fucking end times, y'all.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the setup for what's going on here. And of course they fire the particle accelerator and it overloads their. I guess spoilers for this movie. We're going to talk about this movie in depth and break down all this stuff. But likely, if you have a Netflix subscription, you've probably already seen this because they're pimping it out like crazy. And every other entertainment news.
Well, now they're pimping
also,
out The Day That I Met You or whatever.
Well, yeah, that's true. They moved on to the next thing. Every 12 hours, they have a new product to push out. Yeah. So Cloverfield Paradox. Spoilers ahead. That's the general setup. If you don't want to know any more, don't listen to this podcast until you've seen the film, I guess, if you really want to. If you have an hour and 42 minutes to spare. So, of course, they fire the particle accelerator, and shit goes wonky, and all kinds of crazy shit starts happening.
Yes.
At what point did you just give up trying to make sense of this movie and just roll with it and be like, sure, his arm got eaten off, and now it's sentient, I guess.
I didn't know what was going on. I wasn't sure if
that should be the Rotten Tomatoes consensus.
The tagline.
Well, I didn't know what was going on.
Yeah, they'll have that on their DVD cover.
Yeah,
I didn't know what was going. That's the tagline for any of his movies.
The Cloverfield Paradox has critics saying, "I didn't know what was going on." So yes,
but this isn't like a J.J. Abrams movie. But that should be...
He produced it, so his fingerprints are on it. His mystery box situation.
But that should be his tagline for all his movies.
Right.
I didn't know what was going on.
So basically, the movie sort of plays with pseudoscience and expects you to buy into the fact that, all right, this thing fired, so now like this lady's inside a wall, and this particle accelerator, the one like the gyro thing from the middle is like inside this dude, or random shit just like shifts everywhere.
Well,
how did you feel about that?
Here's the thing. If they're ripping a hole in space-time,
Right.
and they're going in about the same place where their shepherd, that Earth's shepherd is, then perhaps that's where things could have been. So maybe the gyroscope was where that dude was standing, and it ended up inside Volkov or whatever.
Oh, he was an interesting character.
Volkov. Maybe the gyroscope was where that dude was standing, and so it ended up being inside him.
Right.
That woman was standing where she ended up in the wall. There could be like little, you could kind of like piece together things.
I guess.
And I'm thinking, this is just me thinking, but I'm thinking that the whole reason their version of the shepherd fell into the ocean was because they ripped into space-time, and they fell into their space-time and knocked it out of the sky, or caused their shepherd to fall down to Earth. I don't know,
but the movie doesn't have any interest in exploring any of that.
Yeah, that's
how
this
thing happened,
making sense
and then
of it.
Shit's wild, basically.
Yeah, and the whole reason I think the thing with Volkov happened, and again, spoilers.
Well, yeah, it's spoiler. It's going to be
I
spoilers.
think that's because in that timeline he's dead, so that's why the worms were exploding.
Well, in that
out of
timeline,
him
they were
and
all
everything.
dead at a certain point, except for God, what the hell is it? Except for Hamilton, the main who ended up not going on the station.
I don't know if they were all dead.
Well, the thing crashed, except for Hamilton wasn't on there. Jensen switched.
Maybe Volkov was
essentially supposed to be the same. We're getting really we're jumping right into it. Essentially, it's the same crew minus Jensen and Hamilton swapped, basically, right? Jensen's the one that was in the wall, and Hamilton didn't go, and that's why
Tam.
Jensen was the one in the wall. It was like
yeah, Jensen is the one in the wall, and Tam wasn't on that mission.
Oh, that's why.
Tam's.
She's the one that gets frozen.
She was like, "You guys are all the same, except for her, and you're supposed to be down on Earth."
Right.
So, and Schmidt is a traitor, and
in the other version,
so you don't even know if he's in the alternate Earth,
which
we'll
this
just
whole
call
thing
it alternate Earth.
Between the particle accelerator and then the alternate universes or whatever, I was watching the movie, being like, I don't know how I feel about this movie, but all this particle accelerator, alternate Earth stuff is really making me want to watch The Flash. I have to catch up on the new episode.
She never really said that any of them were actually on that craft.
I guess
you saw a picture of all of them together,
including Jensen, which I thought that was some Shining shit.
But
she's in the picture, I thought that was kind of cool.
But that could have been a previous mission that they did.
Right.
That might not have been the mission in which their shepherd fell into the ocean on the alternate Earth. You know what I mean? So, and I think Volkov was dead. That's why he immediately after that happened, his eye was like starting to get funny.
It was like
and his
turning
cheek
and stuff.
Yeah, it was like turning, and then the worms explode out of him.
That body knew that, hey, I'm not supposed to be here, so it started to.
He's dead in that alternate universe, I guess. So his body died as well.
I think you put more thought into the script than the writers of the script so far.
The worms are coming out of him. Worms.
Right. Where did the worms come from?
Buried.
I mean, the worms were.
No, but his other body is buried on Earth, the alternate Earth. So I think that's where the worms came from. Wow, you're taking this
deep.
Yeah, and the gyroscope is in him because I think that's where he was, and she was standing around that place, but it ended up being in the wall where they went into.
That was.
So pretty much they just popped in where the other one was. They blew the other one out of the sky onto the alternate Earth.
Mm.
And what else happened?
The dude lost his arm.
I didn't understand that though. Yeah. I didn't understand how the dude it sucked his arm into. I guess
into the wall.
You can go like, oh well, it's a
black hole.
It's
a black hole.
So it's a rip in no, if it was a black hole, it wouldn't have been.
Whatever, I don't know.
But it's a rip in space time, and all these weird things are happening, and blah blah blah. But I don't understand like how he just
Well, then it was like Adam's
sucks his
family
arm.
shit because his arm was like
It
crawling
was
around by
moving
itself.
around
I was like, what the hell is happening?
And
I will say though, some of those things didn't
then-
make sense, but the thing with
how he died too, I don't understand how that happened either.
Right.
It was like,
how did he die? I forgot. No.
it's like those like molten stuff that he used to seal. It got magnetic all of a sudden,
Yeah,
and then it went and attacked him, and then he went into the wall, and then it was like going up his nose or whatever.
That was weird.
And that's how he died. That's what confused me. I didn't know what was going on.
Some of the imagery
because I wasn't
makes no
sure.
sense. Well, most of the imagery makes no sense. I did think the part with the Jensen like stuck in the wall and that image of like, what's that noise? And then they pull the panel out and she's like out with wires. And I thought that was actually really horrific imagery, and I thought that was probably one of the ones I'm going to remember from this movie.
Yeah.
10 years from now, when I'm like, there was a third Cloverfield movie, I'll remember that scene. Like, oh, that lady stuck in the wall. That was fucked up.
Yeah. I just didn't. I didn't know if it was like a monster movie.
Right.
I didn't know if it was like supposed to be like a thriller, like she's trying to kill people. I didn't know if it was going off of the whole it's just a rip in space time. Right. I didn't know why things were happening.
There was a few
especially
issues.
with Mundy.
I feel like they rushed right into there's an energy crisis. Oh, we're on the spaceship. Blah blah blah. I was like, they didn't properly set up the status quo before they jumped into that, so I had no idea what the fuck was going on. I was like, wait, what are we doing up here? What's happening?
Yeah.
And then everything that happened on that spaceship, it felt like it was just weird shit. It felt like Lost a little bit. Weird shit for the sake of weird shit. Yeah. Not weird shit that was grounded in what the story is about. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. They just pegged it on, well, particle accelerator, what are you going to do? That's what happens. I'm like, is that what happens?
Also, why did Volkov have to make a gun and then he tried to kill Schmidt?
That was cool. The 3D printer, he made a gun.
I think maybe because he thinks Schmidt is a traitor or whatever in that lifetime or whatever.
I think so.
But he was also dead, so he was in between. You know, his mind. I think at that point maybe his mind completely went into the alternate Earth's Volkov because he was dead, and then he was slowly dying.
But again, the movie doesn't try and explain that. It just expects you to trust it, and I don't.
Yeah.
So story-wise, this thing's all fucking all over the place.
Yeah.
And it's, to me, like a lot of things were popping in my head. I was like, oh, this is just like the girl, like the main character, Hamilton. That woman has like lost her children. And she's in space, and she's like weighed down by it. That felt like very Gravity to me. The whole bunch of people on a space station sort of getting picked off one by one felt very Alien to me. Yeah. The like paranoia of not trusting each other, and like, oh my god, this guy's a traitor.
Felt very Clue to me.
That felt like, well, yeah, that was, oh man, I don't watch Clue. That felt like that felt like John Carpenter's The Thing a little bit. Whereas also involves aliens, and then the whole pseudoscience, like alternate dimension, like, oh shit, where are we now? That felt very like a dumb Interstellar to me.
Yeah. Where
they're like, we're on the other side of the sun or upside down. That was not a satisfying reveal. I was like, oh, that's it? You just need to turn around and shit? That's not very smart. But the good thing is that I did like this cast. I like Gugu Mbatha-Raw, David Oyelowo, Daniel Bruhl, John Ortiz, Chris O'Dowd, Axel Henny, Zi Zhang, Elizabeth Debicki. I like all this crew members, everybody on the space station. I thought was really they're the kind of character actors that I've seen in a million different other things. But they were all sort of getting like their own time, their moments to shine here. Whereas in other movies they like have one or two standout scenes and then that's it. You know what I mean? Because John Ortiz has been in like Fast and Furious movies, and Elizabeth Debicki was in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. She was the God, what's her name? The one of the gold people. I'm totally blanking on this. Aisha, that's who she was. She was Aisha in Guardians of the Galaxy of the Sovereign.
Oh.
I haven't seen that in a little bit. I need to watch it again. That's a great movie.
Yeah, it's a good movie.
Daniel Bruhl.
When does that go on Netflix?
Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2?
No.
It's on there.
Yeah, no, I'm thinking about Thor.
Yeah.
That's a good movie.
Oh, Thor is a good one too.
And when is that going on Netflix?
I don't know. I'm gonna probably buy that when it comes out. Yeah. Well,
Ragnarok, yeah.
Nobody needs to see the Dark World. And Daniel Bruhl was in Civil War, and David
Yeah.
Oyelowo was in Selma, and been in a lot of other things. You know, there's a lot of these actors that are like really cool character actors in this film, who none of whom have ever really been. Well, I guess some of them have, but like none of them have ever appeared in this kind of movie, really. And so it was interesting seeing them all play off of each other, and a lot of the character dynamics and the interactions were some of the best parts of the movie. I thought Chris O'Dowd as Mundy, I thought he was one of the brighter parts of the movie, because he has that sort of like, aw shucks, like, oh, where's my arm? That's weird. Like weird delivery. Like it doesn't make sense from a story's perspective, but he makes it at least fun to watch, and he adds some levity to a movie that doesn't really make any sense, and helps you not give a shit about the fact that you're completely confused about what's happening.
You know what? Actually, I'm gonna retract my statement about them popping where the other shepherd was in their alternate universe, because that wouldn't make any sense anyways. Because if they're on the other side of the sun, how did they pop in where the other one was, and then that one go into Earth?
Yeah.
Unless it created like something, it just made a ripple and
I don't know. It's like a mirror. Maybe the movie's going for like a mirror image thing. So they're like, oh, we're here, and then we're like this, and then flip to the other side of this, like the sun. It's like mirror image type of deal.
Unless them appearing there destroyed the other one, and if that's the case, how did she end up in that one? If it's over the Earth,
What did you think about the cast, and I guess specifically Hamilton's whole thing with her children that died, I guess, in a fire, and like that whole emotional grounding of the film? Did that work for you, or were you like, okay, you lost your kids? That's a very common, like, sort of almost like screenwriting cop out, like, oh, their family died. Did it work? I mean, that doesn't mean it didn't work. It still could be effective.
Yeah.
It's a little cliche, but I don't know. I feel like the actress, She does a good job selling it, and she needed some kind of motivation, especially with where it goes later in the story, whether she's gonna like take her place or not of the other Hamilton.
Well, they needed something to provide an internal conflict with the main character, and I guess that was like an easy thing to do. Oh, I could be with my dead family, even if it could have been anyone, dead family member. Right. Like, oh, I could be with my husband again, or whatever.
I think there's a lot of interesting.
If he was dead.
I mean, for a better movie. I think it would have been. There's a lot of interesting story possibilities to play with the whole alternate reality thing, and whether you would take somebody else's play, or you would choose to go to the other world with your family, even though they're not really your family. Like that whole thing, I thought was kind of compelling.
Yeah, but at the same time,
even though I've seen it before in better movies, but
at the same time, you don't know the repercussions from showing up and being with your alternate self.
Right.
There's repercussions about doing that.
That's right, Doc Brown. You can't interact with your...
You can't see each other. I don't know. Like, I would probably... One of them would probably have to go or something.
Right.
And most likely would be her, because she's not from that
area.
Right.
And her eye with her going all sideways and shit.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know. I don't know how that would work.
What about the B plot, which is basically Hamilton's husband trying to like figure out what the fuck is going on with the monsters that suddenly show up, and then ultimately being like, why are you sending her back here? This is a fucking hellscape. Get off the planet. Do you think that the fact that they ripped a hole in the space-time or whatever, do you think that effectively united the three movies, or are you like more confused than ever? Because I'm sort of confused.
I don't understand where these monsters came from. Right. I guess unless I don't think it. Maybe
they're setting it up for a third. Maybe they're setting it up for a Pacific Rim crossover, and it's like deep in the ocean.
It did look kind of like a Pacific Rim.
I'm gonna see that. I'm looking forward to. I don't know if it's gonna be that great, and that might not, but I like the first one. So
isn't that the dude from Star Wars?
Yeah, it is.
Anyways,
let's go back to Cloverfield.
Maybe they ripped into they did two rips. So they ripped into the alternate Earth, and then they ripped to one where there's monsters or something.
So do you think the three movies are supposed to be set on the same Earth, or are they like alternate versions of the monsters attacking Earth? Because there's connections. Like actually, I didn't even know this. I read about this. The reporter or the conspiracy theorist on the thing has the same last name as the character, John Goodman character from 10 Cloverfield Lane. So I don't know if that's supposed to be like his brother or something. Mm-hmm. And then the newscaster, lady who's interviewing the conspiracy theorist guy, she's the same actress from 10 Cloverfield Lane. That's like the lady, like, let me in there, blah, 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 and then dies outside the door. You remember that part?
Yeah, I remember that. I didn't know it was
so
her.
I didn't either until I looked it up. I was like, wait, what? It is? Like, I saw like Twitter and stuff. I wouldn't have noticed that.
Yeah, exactly.
And there's
that
other
really loves Cloverfield.
Right, yeah. And then like at the end, the Cloverfield station falling to Earth, and then I guess in the back of, I think in the first Cloverfield movie, you see a satellite dropping in the background, but that's near New York. This is like, I don't think she was falling anywhere near New York. It's unclear if the monster at the end of Cloverfield Paradox, spoilers, is supposed to be the same monster in the first Cloverfield, and if so, what the hell's going on? Like, what is the chronology for these three films? Are they set in different Earths? Is 10 Cloverfield Lane like somehow a prequel to the other two, or like what the hell's going on? You know,
I would think for complexity's sake, that it wouldn't.
They wouldn't be.
They wouldn't be connected.
You think they're all alternate Earths and all of them being affected by this one thing?
I think that it's all one Earth, because if it's trying to do the multiple Earths and stuff,
yeah,
that's like a 20 movie series, and explain two Earths.
As long as people watch these, I'm sure they'll still do.
Yeah, no, but the two Earths were already pretty similar as it was. So
except you were here and not here.
Yeah, you weren't on this mission. I was, and you weren't on this thing, and
right.
he was a traitor, and
they were just different enough for us
and
the cast member and the characters to be confused.
Yeah, it didn't make any sense. So,
right.
That would just be stupid, because they're
so
pretty much the same. They're both having energy crises. They're both having energy crisis. They both have the same thing built, except one's destroyed and one is together.
Right.
You know? And so it would make no sense, because it would be the same story in either one. They both have the same monsters. Mm-hmm. They both have the same issues.
Because they even say in the movie, they say that it'll rip monsters, like it'll rip across space time. So, like, she has cell phone in 10 Cloverfield Lane, but if she didn't have technology, you could be like, well, that was the 70s when the monster showed up in the 70s on that Earth, and in the 2008 on the first movies, and then this is now 20. What is it, like? This one's actually set in the future. It's like 2028 or something.
Yeah.
So I wonder if at what point the monsters started really showing up, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Or are all three of these supposed to have taken place like around the same time? I wonder. Like the monster shows up in New York just as this crazy shit's happening. I forget wherever 10 Cloverfield Lane is set. Just as I
think the 10 Cloverfield
station's crashing.
I think the 10 Cloverfield Lane is the last one.
You think so?
Yeah.
Because they talk about like the resistance to the monsters and stuff.
Because the Cloverfield one is, well, okay. The way the first one starts, with before they start off the shepherd and it overloads, that's the beginning. Mm-hmm. Then it cuts to the first Cloverfield, where the explosion happens, the monsters go down in that instant when they do the rip. Then it cuts back to them in space in this one that just happened. And then I think the 10 Cloverfield Lane is the last one, because it's very radioactive and people can't be outside, and there's a lot of it's at an escalated it's at a very escalated point where you have to be in shelters in order to survive. Right. So I think that's the last one.
It does look like that's the second wave of the monsters or something, possibly too, because
there's a different breed of
monster. It's also like War of the Worlds style, like the aliens like surveying, like, all right, what else? Anybody left? Any stragglers? That kind of shit.
Yeah, exactly.
As opposed to in the big populated metropolitan area, like in the first movie. Yeah, that makes sense. Did you? But then if that's the case, then why, like you said earlier, why is everything called Cloverfield? Why is it called the Cloverfield Tapes, Cloverfield Lane, Cloverfield Station? What the fuck is that about? Unless, I guess it's the mystery box. Like, it doesn't have a meaning other than we need to call these movies Cloverfield something.
Where did we see Cloverfield Lane? It was on the mailbox?
Yeah.
So maybe John Goodman put that on his mailbox.
Why would he do that?
In regard to the Cloverfield Paradox. Maybe he called his house. He created the address. He put 10 Cloverfield Lane on there or something like that. Like, we didn't see any
It's unclear.
official street sign or anything.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Well, so I'm going into the Wikipedia for the first movie just to double check. So the case is apparently designated Cloverfield. So I wonder if 10 Cloverfield Lane, like, maybe something about the attack like stems from that address or something, or maybe that, like, Michelle, that's the Mary Elizabeth Winstead character, like, her whole encounter there is among the first things, and then like that's where that's the entry point for the investigation, and so the investigation comes to be known as Cloverfield based on that. Because when you're watching, because basically the first movie is you're watching the videos, the tapes of these recovered footage from the crazy monster attack that happened. So I wonder if, if that was like the case started with Michelle, and then they went back and they found the other footage from the first movie and stuff. I don't know. It's interesting. I don't know if they're ever planning on explaining any of this a little bit more, or it's just going to get more and more convoluted.
Now, in 10 Cloverfield Lane, didn't she get into a car accident or something? Yeah, in the beginning of the movie. And then John Goodman takes her and puts her in a shelter.
Yeah, in the cellar.
In the cellar. And then she's in there for a certain period of time.
Right. And she's in there, and the whole point is like, is he crazy or are there aliens? He's crazy, and there are aliens.
Okay.
Which is what I loved about that film so much, is that it's like, it posits whether it's an either-or situation, when in actuality both are true.
So maybe by the end of the movie, it's where around the same time of 10 Cloverfield Lane then.
Yeah, maybe.
So it goes throughout the whole period. It fills in the gaps between Cloverfield and 10 Cloverfield Lane. Like,
right.
It kind of like the before, middle, and I guess right to the end of 10 Cloverfield Lane.
Right.
Maybe. I don't know. We're trying to make sense of
exactly.
something that maybe we're giving them too much credit.
I don't even know if they have any interest in having it make sense. And I think that's kind of why I'm starting to get a little frustrated with this now, because this one, like I said earlier, this one tries to weave everything together and doesn't really do that in a satisfying way. Whereas I feel like if they didn't try to connect everything and they just let this be some fucking crazy story, and they didn't show the monster on Earth, and they just had it be like, oh, space-time, there could be monsters, and then we could be like, oh, snap, maybe that's how it happened. But then they give us too much information where they drop too many Easter eggs where now things sort of are trying to be connected but still don't make any fucking sense.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I feel like with 10 Cloverfield Lane, they took a script that wasn't a franchise script and they made it into an interesting film, and they just had people see it because it was Cloverfield name on it. Mm-hmm. And with this one, I feel like if you take the Cloverfield name away from this movie is okay. It's kind of very mediocre space horror film, but now people are watching it because of Cloverfield. So instead of shedding light on a actual really solid film by associating it with this franchise, you're sort of trying to elevate a kind of substandard film by associating it with this franchise and using it sort of as a marketing ploy. And I feel like that's kind of cheapening. Well, it's kind of cheapening the series by, after having two movies that were very standalones but sort of connected. I feel like you're cheapening it. But now people are not going to necessarily, people that didn't like this movie are not necessarily going to trust the fourth movie, which is coming out this fall, which is, the working title was Overlord, or the fifth movie, which is rumored. Netflix, or? I think it's going to go into theaters. See, I don't know what the hell's going on with it. And I feel like now I might not trust the next one because the quality level is now starting to get erratic.
Well, that happens with all horror franchises, though.
Yeah.
Where it starts out really, really good. It kind of...
Yeah, but this is more of an anthology series. This is not like... it's not like Freddy Krueger coming back for the fourth time.
I know, but Insidious...
I didn't see the fourth one. I didn't...
Yeah, I didn't see that one either, but some of them, they it looks like there's a whole other story, and you want to learn more, and then it kind of tampers off, and it's okay, well, this doesn't really make sense. I don't know where it's going. There's that guy in the dress again. It's just little things like that.
But they had an opportunity here to make like basically a big screen Twilight Zone where, yeah, okay, there's monsters there. That's the only thing. It involves monsters somehow. And then just have, like we said earlier, different subgenres of stories that are sort of connected, but not really, but because you don't have to worry about that.
Yeah.
You just have to just let it be sort of a standalone experience and use that as a way to give, to give emerging filmmakers sort of their big shot in a way.
Paranormal Activity also did that too.
Yeah, I didn't.
Where there was like
watched
supposed to be this whole story with like a coven or a demon of some sort. It was a demon, and then as you look in the other ones, it's like a coven, I guess. And then
is
it's
that the
like
franchise where the demon's like Toby or some shit?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, I think so.
Yes.
I remember hearing
and
that.
And then there's like a demon that's like I think it was like a mirror or something like that.
It doesn't.
This is the one where they were like
the ghost dimension
younger
or something.
Yeah, there's just so like I don't know like what's going on in that franchise,
right.
And that's kind of like where this is, where they give you like a little piece, and sometimes they give you a lot, but it doesn't fit. It's just more of a mystery. It's like Lost.
They're digging the hole deeper
instead of answering questions and creating more of like a picture like, oh, that makes sense. It's like, okay, now we're going to give them stuff, but it's not going to have any connotation. There's not going to be any meaning behind it. It's just going to create a bigger question mark.
No, that's exactly what it is. That's
to what the fuck is going on.
The mystery box has no bottom. It's a bottomless mystery box. That's the problem.
Yeah.
It's like they're digging themselves deeper and deeper, but they're never hitting bottom.
Yeah,
there's nowhere to go. There's no, you know how like when you're in a movie, if they're digging up like for a grave or something, they did not hitting that coffin. They're like, we'll keep going. Or like look at the first season of Lost. Mm-hmm. The big mystery about the hatch, whatever, right? Mm-hmm. They open the hatch, like, we're gonna get answers. What's in the hatch? More fucking questions, no answers. There's a dude in there hitting a button. What's the button do? Oh, find out next season. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me?
Yeah.
That's what this is.
Yeah.
And it's fucking annoying and it's frustrating because it didn't have to be that way.
Yeah.
You could have just had it be a standalone, had it be sort of connected, but not necessarily feel like you have to stay firm to some canon of what this mythology is. Now it's becoming a really bullshit mythology when before it was just like cool movies sort of linked by this one kind of overarching monsters are loose type premise. You know what I mean?
I wonder if someone was to go up to J.J. Abrams and be like what was the reason for this and this and this and this and this in Lost? He himself probably wouldn't know.
No, nobody knows.
That question. It's just a way of stringing people along so they can
come back next season.
Come back and
keep selling
viewers.
Keep selling advertisements for people watching your show every week.
Yeah. So I don't know. I'm surprised as many viewers stuck around with Lost.
I did, and we all did. Didn't you watch it with us?
Yeah.
Till the end.
I mean,
it's not, and the thing is, like this show, like this movie. A lot of this stuff works because of the actors. Like Lost worked because of the characters, and I was invested in John Locke and Jack Shepherd and Kate Austin and Sawyer and Desmond and all that shit. Those characters were interesting.
Yeah,
the actors were really committed to it. The story was bullshit, and that's kind of how I feel about this movie. Like these characters are interesting. Like I like these characters. Put this cast and these characters in a movie that makes sense. Then I'm all about it. This is a really interesting assortment of very diverse cast of actors who, you don't see enough of in movies these days anyway. So, it just, I don't know, it feels sort of like a missed opportunity, and it's definitely the low point of the Cloverfield franchise so far. Doesn't mean it's bad. It's not terrible. I'm on Letterboxd.com, which is basically like Goodreads for movies, and so I gave this like a 2.5 out of 5. Like it's fine. It's okay. It's like, do I feel like I was robbed of my time? No, it was fine. I watched it.
It was entertaining enough to watch, but not to watch again.
Exactly. I would never watch it again. I wouldn't be like, I gotta buy this on Blu-ray, or anything like that.
Have you seen Cloverfield several times?
No, I haven't really, because I feel like that's sort of I've seen 10 Cloverfield Lane actually the second time recently.
Yeah, that one is
more rewatchable.
Is more rewatchable than the other ones. And it's not just because of the shaking of the camera or anything. It's just
it's more of an experience.
It's more of a one-time experience, and then
exactly,
you want to just get rid of it.
Yeah, not get rid of it. It's still good, but yeah, I mean, it's good to have. I'm glad I have it because I can show other people and be like.
I mean, in a way, I don't know. I saw Cloverfield so long ago. It's hard for me to remember what was actually in the movie.
Right.
So, I don't know whether to put that this one is better than that one, or that one is better than this one.
This one is that one was better than this one, I think.
It's
My
difficult
opinion.
to say. It's difficult to say because
that was you haven't seen it
because
in 10
that
years,
was
and you
because
don't
that was
remember
10
the
years
details,
ago.
and you were like, I get nauseous, I can't deal with this. Like, yeah, so your memory of it is fuzzy by for multiple reasons.
Yeah.
So for me, it's definitely this is the weakest. Then Cloverfield, and then Cloverfield Lane is still the best. Not by that much, because I actually think Cloverfield is a solid film. So we'll see. I'm interested to see what they do with the next couple.
I'm in agreement with you that the second one is the best one. Though.
Yeah,
by far.
Wasn't a bad movie to watch, especially on Netflix though. This one, because I'm already paying for it, so I guess might as well. And that's how Netflix gets you.
I mean, it's not one of my favorite movies on Netflix, but
yeah,
it was entertaining. I don't know if I'd watch it again though, but
yeah,
it was entertaining.
I'm interested to see what they do with the next entries in the franchise. Now, although before I was interested to see what this was going to be and excited, now I'm interested to see what's going to happen and kind of worried that the next one's also going to be bad, because I was a fan of this franchise and I don't want, I'll give you one shitty movie if that's what it's going to be, because maybe they had already made this or whatever, so they're like, here, Netflix can promote it and people will watch it. It doesn't matter if it's good. But you need to bring it next time. Don't do this shit to us again, because then people are going to start losing interest in this franchise really fast.
Yeah.
So
some of the science stuff didn't make sense too in this movie.
Didn't make sense? Yeah, no, I don't think they were trying. There was no Neil deGrasse Tyson consulting on this movie or anything.
Just like the way they had gravity and the spaceship and everything.
Right.
It didn't make sense. They wouldn't I understand it's rotating, but it would have to be rotating faster, I feel, in order to have a gravity simulation type of thing. And
right.
It would be, and it's the wrong direction in which it was going.
Naturally.
And then it doesn't, when they were going on to the alternate platform and to dislocate part of their spaceship.
Uh-huh.
I don't understand. They're in space, but they have gravity. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're out in the middle of nowhere, but they have gravity and they could jump and do all that stuff. So that didn't make sense either.
That's
little things like that. But
but
when you watch
problems.
Movies, you
suspension
of
disbelief. Yeah.
Yeah, you give them a slide on this stuff.
Especially apeshit movies like this, where you're like, I don't know what's happening. They don't, whatever. Okay.
What's your favorite Netflix movie that you've seen?
I haven't seen very many of them. I was gonna recommend one thing that you probably haven't seen. I don't even know if you know is on Netflix or if you have any interest in it. But I've been watching. It's not a Netflix original. It's a Starz show.
Oh.
I've been watching Ash vs. Evil Dead.
Oh, okay.
I'm actually reviewing season 3 for WeGotThisCovered.com. I had to remember which site I was writing it for, because I write a lot of stuff for different sites.
Yeah.
I was like, which one is that? For WeGotThisCovered.com, I actually have seen half of season 3 already. I'm not gonna talk about that because it's embargo and all that. But seasons 1 and 2 are on Netflix streaming, and they're about 10 episodes each, like a half hour, so you can probably blow through very fast. Very gory.
Half hour?
Yeah, very, which I think is good, because it's essentially a comedy series. So you get in there, there's a bunch of blood and guts,
I thought it was an
some
hour.
Crazy shit, and then you move on with your next episode.
That's good that it's
and every
only
episode
30
ends
minutes.
where you're like, what the fuck? What is happening?
Yeah.
And they have some just really wacky shit on that show. And if you're a fan of those movies, and they only added that show to Netflix recently, within the last month or two, I think.
Yeah, so season 3 is it?
Season 3 is
good in
I'm not allowed to
comparison?
talk about it. It's not allowed to talk about.
You can't say if it's good or not?
You'll know my thoughts on WeGotThisCovered.com.
Yeah,
I mean, if you like seasons 1 and 2, I think you like seasons 1 and 2. I think you'll probably enjoy it, because it's consistent to those, I would say.
Okay.
And Bruce Campbell's just a lot of fun, and it has a wry sense of humor, and you know how that character is kind of an asshole, and really drunk, and
he has a good,
very lusty, and kind of politically
correct.
I
like the character,
but also,
I like the actor, and
yeah. So I mean,
I like that movie,
the franchise,
in general. So
I mean, if you need something to watch, it's fun, and it's just really I've told Kai some of the stuff in season 3, and she's like, "Oh my god!" I'm like, "I know, it's not for you." It's the kind of show where you watch and you're just like, oh my god, what the fuck am I watching? Why would they do this
but
to
at the
me?
same that's how it's always been.
Yeah,
though,
that's how they've been.
just like,
but I feel like the show is even like grosser than the movies were.
it's like wackier. And
Yeah,
grosser.
well, because they have a lot more opportunities to come up with weird shit
Well,
every
because
episode.
you think about Sam Raimi's budget for the first one.
Right.
I'm sure they have a lot more stuff out
Right.
there, but they had to be creative with.
And
way
I don't
they did
know.
things back then.
I've heard rumors about season 3 being the last season. Like, I don't know if it's getting canceled because I don't know, maybe enough people are not watching it or stuff. So if that's another reason that I want to mention it here. Like, if you have any interest in Evil Dead or horror comedy or any of that stuff, watch Ash vs. Evil Dead on Netflix to get some more eyes on it, and then watch season 3
maybe
when
Netflix
it premieres
will
on
pick
Stars.
it up if it goes
Maybe,
away.
because it's a fun show, and it's it's not for people with weak stomachs, which is why I watched the last of the screeners last night at like 3 a.m. because that's the perfect time to watch it, because you're like half tired and the wife and the kid are sleeping and you're just like, what the hell is this crazy shit happening? But it's a lot of fun if you're into that kind of stuff. So I would recommend.
Have you
check
watched
that out on
Altered
Netflix.
Carbon yet?
I haven't. No, I haven't watched it.
It's
I know.
a good concept. Do you know what it's about?
A little bit, yeah. My father-in-law read the books,
yeah.
and he's telling me he was so excited about the show, and I'm sure he's going to try and see it as soon as possible too.
Yeah.
So yeah, I've heard, and I saw a headline today, I don't remember what site it was, about how it's more than like just a Blade Runner not ripoff or whatever. So I was like, oh well, I mean, I like Blade Runner if they're comparing it positively.
I think you'll like
Blade
it.
Runner.
It's weird. It's super science fiction.
Well, naturally.
But some of the stuff you could see that maybe potentially could be things that happen in the very, very distant future. So, so
Yeah.
For anybody wanting to watch a show, it's only 10 episodes. So.
There you go. You got your encore segment early, like
Ash vs. Evil Dead and
Altered Carbon, both on Netflix right now.
Altered Carbon, yeah.
So yeah, I mean, if you do watch Ash vs. Evil Dead, let me know what you think, because it's.
I saw the first episode.
Yeah, we watched it, all of us at one point. We had our aunt was in
but
town.
At that but I watched so many shows.
Right. Well, now it's on Netflix.
It's on
that's
Netflix
your domain.
now. Yeah, that's where I go.
Did you know it was on Netflix?
No, I didn't know.
Yeah, because
I didn't see it.
Because it's not.
It's not on the trending.
Exactly. Yeah. See, you need to get it trending because it's a fun show.
The thing about Netflix is that how do you see their whole catalog?
I don't know.
There's no way.
I don't think so.
There's no way of doing it. You see what they show you.
Right.
So you go in the rom-com section.
Or you do what I do,
down,
where every time something crosses,
search.
Every time something crosses your mind about an actor or a director or a film or whatever,
them.
You just have to search for shit. And then that's why I have like 4 million things in my queue.
Yeah. Whenever I wanna, I'm like, oh, I just finished this show. Oh, let me see if this Netflix has another good show I can watch. I'll be like Netflix originals or something, and a whole bunch of stuff over there.
Yeah.
So I've seen a lot of the Netflix stuff.
You can see all their originals in one nice, like, concise little tab, but that's about it.
Yeah.
And the fact that things are on there and then disappearing all the time is another reason why I don't feel so bad for having a Blu-ray collection, because I have something that might be on Netflix, but next month it might not be on Netflix, and then I'm fucked.
Yeah.
So anyway, I think that's a good place to kind of wrap up. Watch Ash vs. Evil Dead and Altered Carbon on Netflix. Watch Cloverfield Paradox if you have an hour and 42 minutes to watch a mediocre movie on Netflix. Basically, this is the Netflix episode, which is why it's perfect to have Freddie on for this.
Yeah.
So that's all we have for now. You can rate and review the Crooked Table podcast on iTunes. We're also on Spotify and Stitcher, if you'd be so kind. Find me, Robert Yanis Jr., on Twitter at Crooked Table.
Follow me on Freddy_Yanis. I think that's what it is.
That is what it is. It's been a long time.
Yeah,
Freddie
I do tweet.
Yeah.
I've been tweeting more recently.
I'd say you had a couple because of the Elon Musk thing.
The Falcon Heavy launch. Yeah.
Of course, you can find more. Of course, you can find more podcast reviews, videos, and other movie-related goodies at crookedtable.com. I almost said Crooked Table. That sounds delicious. Cookie table. See, because you're not even talking about my Cookie Monster socks. Next episode, I don't know if I'm going to do it by myself or if I'm going to do it with Freddie. I don't know what the deal's going to be. But the next episode is definitely Black Panther. I'm seeing it at a screening or a few days early. So it depends on whether I want to... I haven't decided if I want to try and do the episode by myself, or if I want to wait and then do the episode with you, and then maybe do something else with my own. Maybe I'll post a YouTube video or something of my own reaction to it. I haven't decided exactly. But the next episode, either if it's me or if it's me and Freddie, the next episode will be Black Panther, because I mean, I got.
That's
Yeah,
the
you got
only
to. That's the only big thing
amazing
happening.
coming,
Let me know. Tweet at me at Crooked Table on Twitter. Let me know you want Black Panther or 50 Shades Freed. Please, Black Panther. Oh, the results are in. It's Black Panther. Yay. So next week will be something with Black Panther. We'll be heading to Wakanda for a review. Until then, I've been Rob.
Freddie.
And we'll catch you around the table next week. Roll credits.
This has been a production of CrookedTable.com. All rights reserved.
CROOKED.